Hello, welcome back to the Juno's SRX Automation workshop. In this video, we are going to show how to configure NAT and also how to use Ansible to automate the NAT configuration process. Now, if you are following along, basically we are using the source in the GitHub directory. There is a GMPR automation demo class. In video 1 and 2, we have shown you how to set up this environment and how to install Unix to talk to, actually Ubuntu to talk to SRX with Ansible. Okay, what we're going to do is basically you can follow along with the lab configure NAT with Ansible. Okay. What we're gonna do in this lab, right? Basically, I will show you the topology diagram. Okay. So if you're looking at the topology, we have two virtual SRX talking to each other, and behind the virtual SRX, there's a subnet called NAT DevOps. Okay, and this guy has Ansible that can talk to our virtual SRX box with the IP address 172.16.0.1. Now, with this setup, the DevOps machine .10 is having a private IP address. So when it tries to go out and access the internet or the other machine, it will fail. So what we're going to do in this lab is we'll apply NAT on SRX. So when the server try to ping or access outside, SRX will use a basically a source NAT, right? So the source of this server will be changed to the interface address of the virtual SRX. So basically it's 10.10.0.10, so it can go out and ping to the other side. Okay. So before we go on to our lab, there is something we want to go over, right? So how do we go about configuring a NAT configuration? Okay, so and then apply Ansible to automate it. So here are the steps. Well, first, basically build a SRX NAT config file, right? And you want to separate the the variables and the command into basically two files. So you create a YAML file to store the variable. So basically that is the Ansible playbook. Another file will be a Jinja2 template, and it will basically running the SRX CLI. Okay, finally, with the Ansible playbook, when you run it, it will need to use this module called Juno's install config. So it will first create a temporary file and then merge that temporary file to the concurrent, the current SRX configuration file and update it. So here will be the steps to build and automate a NAT configuration. So we will first use example. Basically, before we talk about the NAT, right? Use a more simple example. That is using a CLI to create a address book um, in SRX. Okay. So now, if you think about how to use CLI to create an address book, basically there is just a very simple command, right? Set security address book global address, and then the name, and then there's the IP address, right? That would be the subnet. Now, if you look at it, basically this is the name, which is the variable here, and you also have a command line, right? Set security address book global address. Now the idea, if we do automation, we can actually substitute the name and then put it in a playbook file. On the other hand, this part, the CLI part, execution or action part, we will put it in a Jinja template, right? So that will allow us to repeat this configuration later and automate them by just putting up new IP address and name. Okay. So first part, we will separate the CLI into variables. So we have two variables, name and prefix. Right. So we have local NAT and 172 IP address, private NAT, and then public NAT with the associated IP address. Okay. Now with the action part, basically we want to do this command line, but instead of putting the hard value here, we want to use a two variable so we can substitute that in the future, right? Okay. So now you can take a look at the basic net policy.yaml file. Okay. Now it has the portion which is defined as the variables for us, and you can put, for example, user name, password for the SRX, and then the temporary directory to build your update configuration file. Okay, and here are the the variable we gonna use. So we have a very similar to a dictionary, right? It's a name pair and then a prefix pair with an IP address. So we have three sets of entry, and we have this variable called address entry. So the next thing you want to do is so basically now I have my variables, right? So what I'm going to do in my playbook. So I want to define a two-step process, right? The first step is I will create a new configuration file, right? By so I call out this module called template, right? And basically it will call this Jinja 2 CLI, and it will use the variable I have defined earlier, which is the address entries, and it will build those into a new configuration file placed in this entry. Okay. And then the next step is, now I have a new configuration file. What I'm going to do is I will use the Juno's install config module and place this basically update or merge this config file with my existing SRX to update the configuration. Okay, so this is how we do the SRX address book. I hope the concept is clear, but and then if you understand this, we can go ahead and tackle the next step, which is like creating the source net config, right? So this is very similar to the address book configuration. So first you will build a config file. So this is a sample config file for NAT, source NAT, right? So from zone trust to untrust, you will change the IP address, the source IP address to the interface IP address of the SRX. So basically that's it. And the next step is you define the variables, right? So you set up all these rule set, source zone, destination, name, right? So you basically look it up, right? So you have the source and destination zone, right? Source and destination address, and then the rule name, right? So this will be built into the variables. Now for the Jinja 2 template, right? Basically is you will apply those variables into this template. And you can see this is a CLI, right? Set security net source IP address, and this will be the variable. There's another variable, right? So that would be the name of the rule, and this is corresponding to the source zone logical name. And then you will iterate source and destination IP address depending on how many items in your rule. So finally, you will also update the YAML file, so you can take a look at the basic NAT policy. And again, the first step is you will build a new configuration file and put it in a temp directory. The second step is you will use the Juno's install config and update the existing configuration in SRX. Okay, so that looks pretty long, but when you execute, the command is actually pretty fast. Okay, so what you're gonna do is, so I'm on this machine right now. So this is my this is a NAT out machine, and this is my SRX, right? So you can see so I don't have any NAT defined in here, right? And also I don't have any global address. So what I'm going to do is I'll basically go to the Ansible directory. Okay, now you can see this is inventory and playbook. So I look at my playbooks, and this is the one I want, right? Basic net policy.yaml. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will execute this playbook. So I'll do Ansible minus playbook minus your inventory dot YML, and then the playbook name is called basic net policies.yaml. Okay, so I need to give the inventory the playbooks slash. So you can see this is executing. This is pretty fast, right? And I'm done, right? So we go to the SRX to look at the configuration. So we'll do is configure again. So security net. So you can now see there is the NAT configuration here, right? And I also have the I believe is the yeah. So this is my configuration file, and I also have a now a global address book entry here. Okay, so that should complete our lab, and for the details you can refer back to the files. Thank you.